In 1922, when Howard Carter opened Tutankhamun's tomb, 22 people connected to the excavation died within 7 years. Coincidence? The ancient Egyptians built monuments so precise that modern engineers still cannot replicate them. They performed surgeries that wouldn't be reinvented for 3,000 years, and they left behind warnings carved in stone that we chose to ignore. Ancient secrets buried forever. What you're about to discover will make you question everything you thought you knew about human history. Because the truth about ancient Egypt isn't what they taught you in school. It's far stranger, far darker, and far more relevant to your life today than you could ever imagine. As the great Egyptologist Zahi Hawass once admitted, there are still more secrets buried beneath the sands than we have ever discovered. Tonight, we uncover 10 of those secrets. Secrets that powerful institutions have tried to suppress. Secrets that challenge the very foundations of human civilization. Are you ready to enter the darkness? Curse death. Lord Carnarvon, the man who financed the excavation of Tutankhamun's tomb, died just 5 months after entering the burial chamber. At the exact moment of his death, every light in Cairo went dark. His dog, back in England, howled once and dropped dead at the same instant. Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king. This wasn't written by sensationalist journalists. It was carved by the ancient Egyptians themselves, and the deaths didn't stop there. Howard Carter's secretary, Richard Bethel, was found smothered in his bed. Bethel's father threw himself from a 7th-floor window in grief. The radiologist who x-rayed the mummy died mysteriously. 22 dead. Scientists have proposed explanations: ancient mold spores, toxic gases, coincidence. But none of these explain the simultaneous deaths across continents. None explain why Carter himself, who spent the most time in the tomb, lived another 17 years. What if the Egyptians knew something about death, about what happens after, that we've forgotten? But speaking of forgotten knowledge, what they knew about the human body is even more disturbing. Impossible. In 2012, archaeologists discovered a skull from 2600 BCE with precise surgical holes drilled into it. The patient survived. We know this because the bone had healed around the incision. This was brain surgery performed 4,600 years ago, without anesthesia, without antibiotics, without the medical knowledge we claim to have invented. Brain surgery, ancient times. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, dating to 1600 BCE, describes 48 surgical cases with diagnostic procedures so sophisticated that modern doctors still reference them. They could set broken bones with precision. They performed cataract surgery. They understood the connection between the brain and limb movement, something Western medicine wouldn't rediscover until the 19th century. As the physician Imhotep wrote, "I have examined the wound and the treatment that will heal it, knowledge given to us by the gods themselves." Where did this knowledge come from? The Egyptians themselves claimed it was given to them by beings from the stars. Most historians dismiss this as mythology. But what if they were being literal? And this brings us to something even more unexplainable: how they built their monuments. Pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza contains 2,300,000 stone blocks. Each weighs between 2 and 80 tons. They were cut with such precision that you cannot fit a piece of paper between them. And here's what they don't tell you in school: the pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 3/60th of a single degree. Modern builders using laser technology cannot achieve this level of precision. We simply do not know how they did it. With our technology, we could not replicate it. The base of the pyramid is level 2 within 1 centimeters across 13 acres. The ratio of its perimeter to its height equals pi with an accuracy of 0.05%. The Egyptians officially didn't know what pi was. Impossible math, perfect precision. They built this without the wheel, without iron tools. In 20 years, according to mainstream historians, which would require placing one perfectly cut multi-ton block every 2 minutes, day and night, for 2 decades. The mathematics don't work. Something is missing from the story. and what's hidden beneath the pyramid might hold the answer. Buried chambers. In 2017, scientists using cosmic ray muon tomography discovered a massive void inside the Great Pyramid, a hidden chamber the size of a commercial aircraft that no one knew existed for 4,500 years. The Egyptian government immediately restricted access. No camera has ever been allowed inside. Hidden chamber, forbidden access. But this isn't the only secret space. Beneath the Sphinx lies a network of tunnels that radar has detected, but excavation has been blocked. In 1978, a team led by Mark Lehner found a chamber under the Sphinx's paw and was ordered to stop digging. The Egyptian authorities claimed it was for preservation purposes. But preservation from what? As the controversial researcher Robert Bovell noted, what lies beneath the Giza Plateau could rewrite human history, and perhaps that's exactly why it remains sealed. Ancient texts speak of a hall of records, a library containing the complete knowledge of a civilization that existed before the pharaohs. Edgar Cayce predicted it would be found beneath the Sphinx, and now we know something is there. But they won't let us see it. What are they protecting? Or more importantly, what are they protecting us from? This leads us to an even darker question about what the Egyptians knew about the afterlife. Book Death. The Egyptian Book of the Dead isn't actually called that. Its real name translates to the Book of Coming Forth by Day, Instructions for Navigating the Afterlife. And it describes the journey with terrifying specificity. I have not done evil. I have not stolen. I have not killed. My heart is pure before Osiris. The deceased would face 42 judges who would weigh their heart against the feather of Ma'at truth. If the heart was heavier, polluted by lies and evil deeds, it would be devoured by Ammit, a demon with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. The soul would cease to exist. Not hell, not reincarnation, complete annihilation. Heart weighed, soul judged. But here's what disturbs modern researchers. Near-death experiences from around the world, from people who have never heard of Egyptian mythology, describe remarkably similar journeys. The tunnel of light, the life review where every action is weighed, the encounter with beings who judge, or the Egyptians documenting something real, something that still happens to every human being who dies. And what they did to preserve the body reveals an even deeper truth. Mummy secrets. The mummification process took 70 days. The brain was extracted through the nose with iron hooks. Every organ was removed and preserved in canopic jars, except the heart. The heart was left inside, because the Egyptians believed consciousness resided not in the brain, but in the heart. Heart equals consciousness eternal. Modern science dismissed this as primitive superstition until 2015. That year, researchers at the Heart Math Institute discovered that the heart contains 40,000 neurons. It has its own nervous system. It sends more signals to the brain than it receives. The heart can learn, remember, and make decisions independent of the brain. The Egyptians knew this 4,000 years ago. As the pyramid texts declare, the heart is the seat of intelligence, the throne upon which the soul sits. They preserved bodies because they believed the soul needed a vessel to return to. Mummies have been found with their mouths opened, a ritual called opening of the mouth designed to allow the soul to breathe, eat, and speak in the afterlife. What if mummification wasn't superstition? What if it was technology we don't yet understand? And this brings us to something the Egyptians feared more than death itself. Serpent chaos. Every night, according to Egyptian mythology, the sun god Ra had to battle a serpent of pure chaos named Apophis. If Ra lost, the sun would not rise. The world would end. This wasn't mythology to them, it was cosmology, a description of forces that maintain reality itself. Apophis is the embodiment of chaos, the force that seeks to unmake creation itself. The Egyptians performed rituals every single night to help Ra defeat the serpent. They believed human consciousness could influence cosmic events, that thought and intention had power over reality. Chaos versus order eternal. Modern physicists now speak of entropy, the universe's tendency toward disorder. They speak of the heat death of the universe, an inevitable return to chaos. They speak of the fine-tuning problem, how reality itself seems balanced on a knife's edge. The Egyptians understood this 5,000 years ago. They gave it a name. They gave it a face. And they believed we had a role in maintaining the balance. Were they wrong? Or do we still fight Apophis every day, in every choice between creation and destruction, between order and chaos? This connects to something even more controversial about who taught them all of this. Star beings. The three pyramids of Giza are aligned exactly with the three stars of Orion's belt. The Nile River mirrors the position of the Milky Way. The entire Giza Plateau is a map of the sky, as it appeared in 500 BCE, 12,500 years ago, before the supposed beginning of Egyptian civilization. Sky map ground Orion. The Egyptians called Orion Sa, the dwelling place of Osiris. They believed their pharaohs came from the stars and would return to the stars after death. The pyramid texts, the oldest religious writings on Earth, describe spacecraft-like vehicles and beings from the constellation of Orion. I am a star which illuminates the sky. I ascend to the god that I may be protected. Mainstream archaeology calls this mythology. But consider, if you wanted to leave a message for future civilizations, how would you do it? You would encode it in mathematics, in astronomical alignments, in stone that would last millennia, in symbols that any intelligent species would recognize. The stars. The Egyptians didn't just worship the stars. They claimed to have come from them. And what happened to this advanced civilization brings us to the most disturbing secret of all: sudden collapse. Around 1200 BCE, every major civilization in the Mediterranean collapsed simultaneously. Egypt, the Hittites, Mycenaean Greece, the Assyrians, all fell within decades of each other. Historians call this the Bronze Age collapse, and no one knows exactly why. The great empires didn't just decline. They vanished as if erased by the hand of a god. The Egyptians recorded attacks by mysterious sea peoples, invaders from unknown lands who appeared suddenly and destroyed everything in their path. But who were the sea peoples? Where did they come from? And how did they defeat civilizations that had stood for millennia? Every empire fell together. Some researchers believe it was climate change. Others suggest a cascade failure, trade networks collapsing, leading to famine, leading to migration, leading to war. But the speed of the collapse defies explanation. Within one generation, 1,000 years of progress vanished. Writing was lost. Technology was forgotten. Humanity entered a dark age that lasted 300 years. The Egyptians survived barely, but they never recovered their former glory. And here's the question that should keep you awake at night. Could it happen again? The patterns are disturbingly familiar. Final warning. The Egyptians left us warnings, carved in stone, written in papyrus, hidden in the geometry of their monuments. They knew their civilization would fall. They tried to preserve their knowledge for those who would come after. The pyramid texts speak of cycles, ages of darkness and light that repeat throughout